What's up guys, it's Jim with OPTCG, bringing you guys another OP08 gameplay video today. And today we are going to be playing quite possibly my favorite deck since its inception, and that is going to be Blue and Yellow Ace from the Starter Deck 13. This deck has been getting better and better ever since it came out. It was pretty inconsistent and frankly bad when it came out. Gets a little more support. I even made a video after it won a couple flagships over in Japan and using my own version of the list in OP07, which I think is really strong with the new additions of the 5-cost Blue Ace and this new 5-cost Luffy from OP07 as well. Just pretty much fully increasing the consistency and cutting the Sabo 2-cost to just include these two brothers is a lot better, and we have actually a lot more targets. But in OP08, we get even more new tools to increase the consistency of this deck every turn and allow for really strong turns that are honestly, if we see the nuts with this deck, is really hard to beat, even for the best decks in the meta. I played against my buddy on RP Law, who's a really good player, and we were pretty much going 50-50. This deck is a menace in OP08, guys. Do not get it twisted. Anyways, before we get into the games, let's go ahead and go over the deck list. So, if you have not seen this leader before, he is pretty much going to put a 5-cost on the top of your life for free at the cost of 2 Dawn every turn. However, you cannot leave it there because all your face-up life cards are going to go to the trash at the end of the turn. So we need to always do something with it. And basically this whole build is made around Ace and Luffy. So obviously with Ace and Luffy, we need to run this 1-cost Garp. It's going to be look at the top 5, and you can search anything named Sabo, Ace, or Luffy. We aren't running any Sabos, but this is finding our Aces and Luffys that we need, whether it's the 5-costs or the 2-costs, which we're mainly looking for. The 2-costs being these guys right here, Luffy and Ace. They are interchangeable for their specific 5-cost cards. And basically these cards are just for 2 Dawn. You can put them in the trash and then take your top life card. And then if it is a corresponding brother, like if I do it with Luffy and see a 5-cost Luffy in my life, you can play it out for free. And then your leader gets plus 2k power until the end of your opponent's next turn, so you will be a 7k leader on your opponent's turn. So really strong play. Obviously it costs you a life, but with this leader it is free. So the main trick here is we want to see the right brother with the right 2-cost in hand. That is not easy because we need to draw these and we need to have the right 5-cost to correspond with it. But we have new consistency with this event right here, which is going to be Thank You for Loving Me. What Ace said right before he died, and it is going to be 1-cost main. If your leader type includes Whitebeard Pirates, which Ace does, you can leave the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 card with Whitebeard Pirates included in its type. So this can search for either of our 5-cost Aces, or even this event itself. And then it also can search for Monkey D. Luffy, so any card named Monkey D. Luffy. So even the 2-cost Luffy, we can search for this card as well. Very strong. And then this is the really strong part. Then place the rest of the cards at the top or bottom of your deck in any order. So if we see 2 cards we don't want, bottom deck those, right? If you see, like, say a 5-cost Luffy, right, in the top, and you know you have a 2-cost Luffy in hand, you're going to leave those to the top, and you're either going to guarantee a leader effect for next turn, or know you have a guaranteed leader effect this turn. This increases the consistency of this deck, like, 10 times. Just the ability to draw these Luffys on command if you need to, or even just look at your top and either bottom deck it if you do not want to see those in your leader effect, or know what you're going to see in your leader effect, is incredible. This even works as a pseudo draw, right? If I use this on turn 1 and I see a 2-cost Ace, obviously we can't draw it, but we can draw something else and then place Ace on the top, which means we will be drawing it on the next turn because we know it's at the top. And then say there was even a 5-cost Ace as our 3rd target, right? Now we know we're guaranteed to get this 2-cost Ace off on the next turn. So really strong card that I think buffed this deck by a ton. After this, we have our 5-costs from Luffy and Ace. I'm just going to go over them real quick. We have our 5/7 Ace here from the starter deck. I'm sure you guys have seen this one. Probably our best target to play, especially against RP Law, because the 7k stat line is very hard to remove. Next up here for this Luffy is going to be 5/6 from the starter deck as well. A really good card. One thing I'll say about this card is if we put a 5 cost in life that we can't do anything with and we have this on board, it's really nice because we can just use this effect whenever, draw a card for free, and then it gets plus 2k power. So really, really solid card. Probably one of the best ones to get out early, at least if we're not playing against RP Law. Next up here, we've got this other Monkey D. Luffy from OP07. Some of you guys may have not seen this card before. Made for Vegapunk, but it's also amazing in this deck. So it's 5/6 with 1000 counter. Going to be activate main. You can place this character in your trash. If you have 2 or less life, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with the cost of 4 or less, and draw 1 card. So very similar to this card, except it is when you are at 2 life or less. So we can actually swing with this card and then use its effect to take out a blocker or take out a threat that we don't want to deal with. Also having a really good trigger of just KOing a 4 for no cost is very nice. And last but not least, another one of the best targets and our only blocker in the deck is going to be the 5 cost blue Portgas the Ace. It's going to be on play, draw 2 cards, then return 2 cards from your hand to the top of the deck in any order, top or bottom. So if you do not want the cards, you can just put them to the bottom. But the real strength of this card is being able to put cards from your hand to the top of the deck, because we can either play this one turn and guarantee a 5 cost off leader effect next turn, or we can play this on the turn we are using leader effect to know exactly what we're getting that turn. So this card is another card that increases the consistency by like a million. Obviously, we got this way back in OP07, not in OP08, but it definitely solved a lot of the problems this deck had, and is the reason why I was running a lot of flagships. Next up, let's go over the 2Ks. So we got 2K Hiyori. This is a pretty much a no-brainer in this deck. If we see a 5 cost in life that we can't do much with, Hiyori turns it into a free heal. Or if we have a 2 cost brother in hand, say we got an ace in life, but we have a 5 cost Luffy in hand, you can take that ace to hand and then replace it with this Luffy and then play the 2 cost Luffy to get the effect off, just increasing the consistency by a lot. Satori here is another 2K that is literally just more targets for our leader effect. With these Luffy and aces, we only have 16 targets. So looking at top 5, you're usually going to see one, but you're not always going to see one. So by adding these 4 more 5 costs, now we have 20 out of 50 cards in our deck that are 5 costs that work with leader effect. So pretty much just a 5 cost that increase consistency. However, the trigger is very nice, especially early. Next up here, we have Flampe. We have 1 less Flampe because she's not as good as Hiyori, but she is really good going first. I love when I'm going first on 3 Dawn, just using leader effect, putting any 5 costs to life, playing out Flampe for my last 1 Dawn, drawing that life card, and then drawing another card. So basically converting this card into a 1 Dawn draw 2, which is pretty ridiculous. Next up here we have Pudding. I wasn't really running many Puddings in my other builds until I really thought about it and realized that if we are playing this deck correctly and swinging basically 9k every turn, our opponent usually doesn't want to counter out of these swings, and they're getting a ton of cards in hand, usually like 8 or 9, meaning Pudding is an absolute beast and is pretty much always online when you're playing Ace. So really, really good card in this deck, and definitely a card you need to see in a lot of matchups, especially matchups like Bonnie that love to hoard cards in hand. And last but not least, I think the reason this deck can even compete now, the main thing this deck struggled with is we really did not have a boss monster to go back and forth with decks that we couldn't beat in time. So, you know, they play their big stuff, and we only have 5 costs to contest. Like, yep, you play an 8 cost kid, it's going to be really hard to deal with. I was running Red Rocks in my old list to deal with cards like that. But now, we have the new 10 cost SR Edward Newgate. This card is Whitebeard Pirates Leader Locked, which means this is only usable in blue Whitebeard Pirates decks, meaning the new Marco leader and the blue-yellow Ace leader, which I'm sure a lot of people did not realize upon seeing this card. However, this does work in Ace, and pretty much your plan is stay at a good amount of cards in life because you are a 7k every turn. Once you go down to 2, you can basically play this down. Your opponent should be at a low amount of cards by then because you've been swinging at them so much, and it's basically a checkmate. God forbid you get this back to back. Now we have the big body we needed, and it's pretty much wraps from there. They usually have to go for it, and if you have the counter, and you know you have the counter because you played this card, they lose because now they're out of cards in hand, and you could just win next turn. So definitely a much needed buff for the deck. And with that, that is going to be the deck list. Pretty simple deck list. Like, we kind of just have one game plan, right? You want to get the brothers, you want to buff your leader, right? And now we can play Whitebeard late game. So that's what we're going to do today. But anyways, without further ado, let's get right into the matches here. All right, and getting into game one here, we're going to be going against a Boa Hancock. For the most part, with ace guys, you pretty much always want to go second, just so you can get your leader effect off as soon as possible. We do get the 1-cost event as well as a 2-cost brother in hand. Rule of thumb, you pretty much always keep the 2 costs in hand. So I'm going to grab the ace here. And since neither of these are Luffy, I'm actually just going to place them at the bottom. So next turn, when we use leader effect, the odds that a 5-cost Luffy is in our top 5 is a lot higher. Even if we whiff, we'll be fine because we do have the Hiyori. And now we are playing against a blue deck, so when we do get attacked into here, probably going to counter out with one of these aces. We really don't need 2 of them. So he's going to get the Dofi early here. That's a really good start for him. You know, he can plan out his next turns. We do not draw into a 5-cost, which is very nice. So we do get the Luffy. We actually have 2 options. We can do the 07 or the starter deck Luffy. Rule of thumb, early game, always grab the starter deck Luffy. As I was saying in the... I'm actually going to swing 7 here. We know this deck runs, what's it called? Gravity Blade. So for that reason, I'm not going to play out Luffy first because Gravity Blade trigger is bottom deck of 5. And if I got punished by playing this out first, that would be really rough. So getting this on board now means if we ever whiff leader effect, like maybe get a Satorian life, we can just convert it into power and a draw. So really nice. I think the only thing that removes this right now is if he had... There's no way he's running 3,000 worlds. Other than that, yeah, he really doesn't have the means to. He will get Jinbei into Law. Really good because we only have 5 cards in hand right now. And he actually can't swing into us, so we do not need to worry about that. And we also don't need to worry about an attack in general. So this is the power of being 7k every turn, is you can do stuff like that. So what we're going to do now is probably just look at the top 5 here. We do get a... We see 2 brothers here, which is kind of rough. We do get a Luffy and a Satori, so we have a target. So we're going to put it here. We're going to use Luffy effect, draw 1. So we'll swing here, and if he decides to take, we will play a putting out. Just putting his hand down a little bit more. So we'll play the putting there, reset his hand a little bit. I could have, I guess, played like a Hiyori for next turn, maybe put it a Satori in life, but realistically, getting the 1 card minus with putting is really good, especially because that not only rearranges his hand, that rearranges his entire deck. So his turns that he just set up with this Doflamingo got absolutely screwed. He does not know what's coming anymore. And now at this point, he cannot swing at this Luffy. He can, if he wants to, just pop this Law right now and make me discard a card, which is really no big deal. I'll probably just get rid of this ace because there's a chance we see it later in the match. He's going to red rock the Luffy. Wow, that was an interesting play because he definitely wants to save those for the new gate. There's no doubt about that. So right here, if he swings first, I'm just going to counter out so we don't get lawed. Next turn, we probably want to ace if we can help it. We unfortunately do not have any 2-cost brothers right now, which is always rough. But we do have the Hiyori to actually do something with our life if we use it. This turn's a bit awkward because if we play ace, we cannot actually do leader effect plus Hiyori. So we'll give him a 2k here. Just going to let this Law sit on board. He'll chill out. And now he's going to swing with it. And if he wants to return it to hand, he can, but it's not getting its effect off. So, ooh, we do get the 1-cost Garp. So that's always a good draw. We will do this. We do get the Luffy right now. Very, very nice. We do see 2 Luffys in the top, so the odds that we actually see one are pretty low. But it is not going to stop me from going for this play. So we're going to first swing into Law right now. 4K to 4K. He's already at 2 life. This is not a good spot for him for sure. He had to block that and 1K. I'm not sure why he did that. But to each their own, and we do see the Luffy, so that is fantastic. I'm going to get the Luffy out here. We will be playing that off of our leader effect. And from there, these are kind of the awkward turns that I don't like to see. Because we really can't do a lot with our life right now. And I think we're actually just going to swing into face here. We could swing into board, but realistically, I don't really care about these characters. The blocker is the only one I really care about. But later in the game, I could just kind of pop it with Luffy anyway. If he wants to utilize these, he's going to have to attach Dawn. So these are kind of just sitting dead on board. You kind of never want to attack into board unless you're going to die next turn. But we're in a really good spot right now, especially because if he does take a life, we're just going to play Newgate next turn and kind of just seal the deal here. So 9 Dawn, he could play a Mihawk and bottom deck this Luffy. However, if he does that, he actually doesn't have a... oh, looks like he's going to go 7. He really wants to get this Law off. Unfortunately for him, we are just not going to let him do that. And at this point, even if we take another hit, the Law is just not working. Is he going to Red Rock this Luffy again? That would be hilarious. Really inefficient plays for sure. And the only thing with countering out of that one is now this Newgate's not online, because if you don't know, this card only works when you're at 2 or less life. So Boa is, yeah, Boa's not going to work. She actually can't affect Luffy because that's just what the card says. He probably meant to lock it down, but unfortunately you cannot, my friend. And now you can't attack into me. You can attack into Pudding, you know, be my guest. Do not really care on that front, but I think we might be going for game. So I think we play ace first. We do draw, this is exactly why I did that. We just drew into this ace right here, which means we can now put, so in these situations, you're going to put 1 ace that you want and then 1 card that you're basically discarding out of hand. And asking myself what I don't want to see, probably another ace, honestly. So we're going to place both of these aces on top. And from here, it's just leader effect time. I actually could have done, I can still do rush ace. I think I'm going to do rush ace and just go aggro with Luffy effect. Because I just played a blocker. I'm going to be a 7k leader. I don't really need to care about dying. So we're definitely going to go rush ace here. Ooh, but I just realized, wait, his effect doesn't go off because it's an on play. Okay, never mind. We'll go with the original plan. We'll do this here. And then we will go 7k to life with Luffy. Again, we do not need to swing at this board. It is really not a threat for us right now. Worst case scenario next turn, he's going to bottom deck 2 things with a Gravity Blade. But if he does have a Gravity Blade, it's less likely he has counter in hand in the first place. And with that, ooh, we do get the 2-cost ace. So they want to start placing on bottom. This Pudding's never come in handy. And we'd rather have Fury than Flampe, so let's do that. Swing 9 at lead. That's probably just going to call out a block. And from there, yeah. So he will block. He can swing into Luffy now that he's a 6k only. And the only way he's removing both these aces is, yeah, exactly, with that card. To be expected. But at this point, oh, he bottom decked Luffy. Ooh, that was not the right play. Yeah, bottom decking Luffy there is never correct. Just because you can swing into it with your characters after the fact. You always want to bottom deck both aces there for sure. And this Law has been sitting on board and doing absolutely nothing all game. You really do love to see that. And I'm pretty much just going to go for game next turn, especially if he hits me and we can get a rush ace off of this 2-cost ace. He's actually not going to attack me, which is an interesting play for sure. 3 on up, our best swings here are 10, 11. 10, 11 is a bit risky, especially considering he's only giving me 1 2K counter. So what we're going to do is we are just going to swing 5. He has to give us a counter here, because if he doesn't, I'm just going to go all on ace, and that's game. There's the pudding. And, oh, wait. Ooh, that was a misplay, team. That was a misplay, but I just realized he didn't attack me, so I'm not at 2 life. It's fine. I still think playing the new gate here is correct, because we basically just set ourselves up for, if you don't have a blocker, we kind of just win this next turn. Especially if we get a rush ace off this, because there is really no scenario where we're killing me right now, especially with the blocker out. So it is blocker or bust. A bit of a misplay, because I thought his effect was online. But again, new gate is at 2 life only. Again, not an expert at this deck. I probably should have gone for the ace play, but even then, okay, he does have a red rock, so good for him. However, if you don't have a blocker, you might just lose here. What's the play? Is he not going to attack into me again because he's scared to put me at 2 life? That would be an interesting play. He's definitely thinking about it. We have seen, I think, a couple rush aces, so the odds we see another one are pretty high, honestly. If we do see one, if we do draw one, I can actually just force it out. We do know he has a 1K now, so from here, we're just going to go top 5. We do see the rush ace. That's why he didn't attack me, I'm assuming, so smart on his part. We will deploy this card out, and we're just going to go 9. And honestly, if he does not have the counter for this, I'm just going to go rest on ace and win the game. If he does have the counter for it, I'm going to play Garp. And probably swing with the rest. I'll play Garp Luffy. He's actually going to take, so we'll go for it. Odds are he doesn't have the counter for 12. Especially in a deck like Boa, you have a lot of bricks. But there is a world where he does. We knew one was a 1K. So there it is. Yeah, and he didn't have the counter. So that's going to be the game. And let's get into game 2. And next up here, we've got RP Law. Fantastic starting hand, no doubt. And he did choose to go first, which is good for us. But RP Law, if you don't know, is kind of insane in this matchup. But wow, we just got an insane hand. You never play Brother on 2 there, especially against RP Law, right? That's a free bottom deck for him. Especially if he plays like a pudding into Shachi Pen. We're actually going to counter out of this 5. We want to conserve life while we can. Never wanting to put RP Law in a situation. Oh, he's going to double. Interesting. Very interesting. So, we are going to get the Luffy here. Again, always grabbing this Luffy. And then we will be playing that out. Question is, do we use his effect? Because if we use his effect right now and draw 1, he's not going to attack into us, and he's going to have to use both of these. So I think I'm going to make him do that. And we will end the turn here. So now this forces both of these out. So if you want to get rid of one of my next cards, you're going to have to play another one. Odds you have another one are probably pretty low. And you're also not attacking into me this turn. Did he just forget to bottom deck these? Interesting. Yeah, I'm a 7K, man. That just doesn't work. So from here, interesting play by our opponent. Yeah, we get another Luffy. Definitely going to play this one out as well. And from here, we will go 8 and 9. Going to swing 8 here. Probably going to take. And then if you take the 9, that is just massively risky. Yeah, he's going to take it as well. Honestly, I think we take the life with Luffy here. Yeah, we will do that. And put it on to our opponent. Playing really risky, I'm not going to lie. I just played into a Kid and Killer, which could be wrong. But we're in a situation where if we see a rush ace next turn, he has to give us basically everything he has. He's already at 1 life. And if he does not lose any cards in hand, I'm just going to play a pudding as well. Ooh, he does take the pudding from us. All right, that is fine. So he's going to choose to bottom deck this Luffy and put this one down to a 5K. Yeah, honestly, probably shouldn't have gone for that play. That might have been a big misplay. Because putting this up to 8 doesn't do a lot considering he had both on board, which means now he can swing into this. He doesn't even have to swing into our leader here, and he can bottom deck the other one. And he does see the Reiju. Oof. With 2 blockers on board, all right, we're in a little bit of a rough spot. Is he going to swing into Luffy, though? And if we do see the other Luffy right now, it is going to be pretty good because we can actually KO this Law. We do not have a 1-cost Luffy in hand, so these are the kind of interesting turns where you need to be like, do you want, do you want to play Garp first, or do you want to use Leader Effect first? Because it's pretty much a gamble. Like, there's ways to know what's more likely to hit. Like, if you've seen multiple aces, odds that you see it off the Garp are really low. Yeah, we'll definitely just give him a 2K for that one. Yeah, he's playing very safe for sure. So we're going to peek at the top 5. We do see the rush ace here, so we do get rewarded for playing that out first. And from here, I think it's just 9-10. We'll swing into the Kid and Killer because we don't want him to take any more life. We want to make him give us cards, which we will do here. 7K, he's actually going to give us the Kid instead. Very interesting play. We'll definitely grab the blocker ace. So the only thing that does is he now knows we actually have a 1K in and not all 2Ks. So if he wanted to try to go for game, he could. I think if he doesn't have a blocker, he might have to. Because I think we saw 2 rush aces in that top 5. So I don't think we see another one. Obviously, he doesn't know that. If he has another Gordon, this is not bottom decking ace. However, it does make it a lot easier to swing into. And then you could just bottom deck Garp off Leader Effect. Yeah, I think probably making a misplay a little bit earlier in this game. Yeah, he actually has Fire Fist. Interesting. That is a really good tech for 7K characters for sure. And if he has another blocker right now, we're in a little bit of a tough spot for sure. Yeah, we just have to counter out of that with the 1 card he knows we have. He's going to go 7 and 7. We do get this trigger. Wow, this is a tough choice. I think we have to keep, unfortunately. He's going to go 7 once again. Leaving the Garp on board, we do draw into the rush ace, which is always rough. So we're going to do this first. Look at the top 5. We'll grab a... I think we'll grab... We'll grab this and place these at the bottom. I don't really want to see those right now. We do get the Luffy and we see the ace at the top, so we will keep these at the top. And from here, we're pretty much just going to swing into board. We do get, yeah, just the ace. So from here, you do this. And we're definitely not wanting the new gate, but we do want to see next turn this Luffy in life. So we're going to start placing top. Do Luffy first into new gate. And from here, we just go 9 at Kid and Killer. That's probably one of the only ways we can die next turn. That's going to be 2 2Ks and 1K, which he is not willing to give us. And then from here, we'll just go 6 to lead. He actually has a lot of Dawn next turn. He has not been Dawn minusing very much. So at this point, he needs another cost reduction. Odds are he has it. Drawn a lot of cards this game. Kind of rough that he got the pudding out of hand, because I definitely would have played pudding into a rush ace. That would have been a really good turn for me. He does have the queen, which kind of tells me he doesn't have it yet. There is trashing a Zoro, so he's definitely not going for game this turn. Yeah, Kid and Killer is just really rough, which is why you kind of always want to stay out of range. I usually like to stay within over 2 life early in the game just to avoid that. However, just the board state with both of those on board already and him at 1 life, I was kind of just in a situation where I wanted to try to go for game. So it looks like he's going to go 8. We will definitely take 8, and that is a massive trigger for us. So we're going to definitely probably trash the rush ace here. Only way we get punished for that is we we don't see what we want. So let's go for the Luffy play here. This is actually negging nothing for us. Oh, and we do get the this Luffy right here, which is probably a better option. So we'll put that. I wish he had a 4-cost blocker, because that would have been a lot better for us. We'll do this, see if we get any options for the turn. We'll trash the Reiju. And from here, we'll swing 9. Not going to swing with the blocker just yet, because we want to see what he's going to give us. We will go, let's try to go 8. This is probably just going to ask for 2 2Ks, honestly. But if he doesn't have it and he blocks, I'll probably just go for the 9. He does have 9 Dawn next turn. Chose not to go for the leader effect, which is definitely, excuse me, definitely telling me that he does not have it. At this point, I'm just going to pass. I think he can math me out here. He needs to go, if he goes 9, I guess I'll block. Yeah, he had the Fire Fist, which means this is pretty much wraps, unfortunately. Running Fire Fist in Law is very interesting. I don't think a lot of the new decks do that. And obviously, the King and Killer, this is even worse. All on Queen, yeah, that is going to be the game. And actually, in the situation where I had all 2Ks, I lived this turn. But yeah, that was a good game. I probably misplayed a bit, but not bad. And getting into our last deck here, we're actually going to be going against a Black Lucci. Pretty solid starting hand with Double Searcher and a 2-cost Luffy. We already have 2 Luffys in hand, so let's hope we can see some good targets. We do get the Edward Newgate. I think we're going to grab that and then place these 2 at the bottom, because we're going to use this one and see another Luffy. We actually see the Ace, so you're always going to grab Ace here. And then you're going to place these at the top. Make sure Luffy is the second card, so it's on the top. And we guarantee that we get this 2-cost Luffy off. So, really solid start for us. We're definitely going to start going turbo. And I think if he doesn't have stage, which looks like he doesn't, he's going to be in a really rough spot. So, no brainer here. Just leader effect. We do see the Luffy. Going to play the 2-cost out into the 5-cost and a 9K coming your way. This is one of the really good decks that we really want to see putting in, because Lucci is taking like almost all of these 9K swings, which means Pudding is just always online. Now on 5 Dawn, like, what are you really doing? You're playing Sabo, or you're playing Kaku, but obviously if you don't have stage, Kaku is not killing this Luffy. So you're in a pretty rough spot. Realistically, what would I do in this situation? He's actually just going to play out... oh, was that a desync? Alright, that is a desync. For some reason, this Kaku is counting as a Sabo. Let's hope that does not change the game state. We're going to play Garp and search for a 2-drop. We do get the Ace. We will return these to deck with the 5-cost on top, because you always want the targets. We will do leader effect. Let's see which one we get. We do get a Luffy, which is fine. That is our only target. And then from here, we're just going to swing 7/7 and heal 1 with Hiyori back to 4. So we do actually have the Luffy here, which can KO a 4-cost on trigger. That's always, excuse me. Oh, and he's gonna surrender. Okay. And not last but not least here, it looks like we're going against Black Lucci. Pretty good start. Pudding is really good in this matchup, and we have 3 of the 2-cost brothers. He does start with the 1-cost Spandam, which is always a great play for him. At this point, we could play one of these out. I think the only way we get punished next turn by a KO on 3 Dawn, I don't actually think he can. However, I don't want to leave it on board if I don't see the right brother. So, because then he could just KO. Excuse me. Then he could just KO it for free, and you never want to see that. So he's gonna go 8. We don't even have a 2K, so you know, no contest there. We're definitely gonna take. And there is the Newgate. We draw to another Newgate. You do not like to see that. Gonna be honest. We look at the top 5 here, and we do see the 5-cost Luffy here. So a couple things with that one. I did have the ace option, but a few things. This is always the better target early, right? Because it converts our top of life things into always value off of this card. Also, we had 2 Luffys in hand and 1 ace. So if we get the chance to use one of the Luffys, we want to. Whereas if we use the ace, if we saw only ace in our next top 5, then we're screwed over because we used the ace last turn, right? So now we just want both options at all times if you can have them. And at this point, we want to see 5-cost ace because we do not want 2 new gates in hand. We want to get rid of one of these if we can help it. And next turn, probably going to try to go for leader effect once again. If we whiff, we will use Luffy effect and swing 8. Oh, he's actually going to quit. What the... All right. That is the second Luffy in a row that has quit on me. So I don't really have time for another game. So I think I'm just going to add both games where our opponent quit. And you let the deck speak for itself. And that is going to be the video, ladies and gentlemen. Did not get 3 complete games in, unfortunately, but we got, I think, 2 pretty solid games in, and a couple half games that really show the power of this deck. So really, really fun at the end of the day. That is the main reason I love this leader. The playstyle is just really fun to do. 7k every turn. Cheating out 5-cost bodies is like crazy fun. I always love the top deck shenanigans. That's why I liked playing Blue and Yellow Queen for a bit. That deck's just a little bit too slow for me. This one has like the top deck, you know, shenanigans with a little bit more aggro mid-range style. With now a boss monster, which we always love to see. Didn't actually get to showcase it fully, unfortunately. We did play it in the bow game, but that was when we were only at 3 life, so it did not go off. However, even if the effect did go off, I don't think our opponent was going to attack us anyway. But really fun deck. I will have the link in the description if you guys want to try it out. But this has been Jim with the Awakened TCG. You guys have a great day. I'm going to head out of here. Peace.